Hi, buddy. Welcome into another episode of Arsenal Fan Circle. I've got Stan, the man, with me all the way from Vancouver. As Andrew likes to say, the Groover from Vancouver.
All right.
How are you, Stan?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
No problem at all. Hopefully, we're going to have a few other people dropping in, but we'll see what happens. This is a preview of the Arsenal Sheffield United game. The Sheffield United come to the Emirates on Saturday. Stan, what's your initial feeling about the game?
Well, funnily enough, just earlier on this afternoon, I was looking at some very compressed highlights of the last time that we played Sheffield United, which was October. And if you actually look at it, if you hadn't watched the game and you look back at some of the stats, it actually looks quite, it looks quite even in the stats. I actually got them up here, actually.
Yeah, a close game.
Yeah, we had like 7 shots, and 4 of those were on target. They had 6. They had three of those were on target. Possession-wise, they were at 42%. We were at 58%. Their passes attempted was 362 to our 487. Which is passes completed. Sorry, and pass accuracy, they had 71% and we had 78%. So on paper, it looks like it was a fairly even game. But if I remember rightly, we didn't fare too well against them when watching the game. Although when I watched those compressed highlights, Nicolas Pepe did have a couple of really good chances.
Yes,
which I totally forgot about. So, you'd like to think that now that we have better preparation, that we might be able to get something out of this game, and it's at home as well. Although you said before the pod started, Sheffield Wednesday do have quite a good record on their travels, right?
Yes. Stan, away from home, they played 11 games. They've won 3 of those games away from home, at Everton, Norwich, and Brighton. They have 6 draws away from home to a lot of very, very good teams. They've gone to some very, very big stadiums and big teams and gotten draws away from home. Bournemouth, Chelsea, Watford, West Ham, Spurs, and Wolves. They've drawn all of those games away from home. So some tough grounds in there. Notably, Wolverhampton Wanderers for me and Chelsea. 2-2 draw with Chelsea, a 1-1 draw with Wolves, and they've only lost 2 games, and that was 2 of the more recent games versus Manchester City and Liverpool. So when you look at it, they've only lost to Manchester City and Liverpool away from home. Not a lot of teams are going to go to the Etihad or Anfield and get a lot of points this season. So they are well drilled, a very, very decent outfit.
It's quite remarkable what we've done this season. Usually when you think of a team coming up from the Championship, which is not a difficult league it's a very difficult league to win as well.
Yes.
There's not a lot of money coming in investment-wise, and to be up where they are is quite remarkable.
Yeah. I touched base with James Rowe earlier today. He left me a voicemail, and he's going to be going to the game, but he was a big advocate for Chris Wilder, who's done great, great things for Sheffield United in the last few seasons. He told me they were unbeaten away from home also in the Championship last year. So to continue that, I'm kind of making the case for Arsenal not getting a win here. But we're going to talk about Arsenal in a little bit. But we have to be also aware that Sheffield United away from home, very, very decent team. In 11 games, like I just said, they've only lost 2, and those were to Manchester City and Liverpool.
Yeah. I've always wondered as well how, when we were looking at the manager, quite a few people were putting Chris Wilder's name in the mix as a possible replacement for Unai Emery. And I was kind of thinking to myself how a manager like Chris Wilder, with what he's done with Sheffield United, how someone like him would fare walking into a club like Arsenal, or a much bigger club than Sheffield United, and having players on higher wage salaries, bigger egos. That's probably going to be his next step at some point, is to test himself you know, after Sheffield United. And I was kind of thinking how a man like that, with what he's, you know, what he's working with at Sheffield United, you know, it's a team of players. There's no sort of all standout stars in there. They're all working together and they're all doing what they're supposed to be doing. It'd just be interesting to see how someone like Chris Wilder would manage with much bigger egos, you know. Be a big test.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go through their team and then we'll talk about the Arsenal, of course. But their top scorer is the player who scored against us back in October, Elise Mousset, with 5 goals. And I went through the top 5 goal scorers for them. John Fleck on 4, Ollie McBurney on 4, John Lundstrom on 3. I think he's a lot of people's picks in fantasy football this season, Lundstrom. And George Baldock, number 2. 2 goals, I mean. And another thing that James had told me was George Baldock has come from the first division. So he's risen about 2 divisions with Sheffield United. John Fleck also came from Coventry. So they've recruited quite well for what they are, a mid-table, county team, right? Midlands team.
Yeah.
You can correct me on the geography there.
It sounds like they're able to do something that we're not, and that's that the goals coming from the team seem to be quite spread around. They don't seem to be quite reliant on just 1 or 2 people.
Yeah, exactly. What's up, Noe? Thanks for stopping by and saying hello. Stick around, drop a few comments. We'd really appreciate your help. Stan, Sheffield United, sixth place right now in the league, and we're in 10th. 4 points between us. They've scored 24 goals, 21 against, for a goal difference of 3, +3. Amazingly, Stan, we're -2 in goal difference still.
I don't know if you saw something that was on, I think it was an ESPN done a report on VAR, and they took a look at all of the VAR decisions, and it came out the most hard done by on decisions that went, you know, against us that shouldn't have gone. I think, for example, there was the Socrates one at Crystal Palace when we played the Crystal Palace the first time. Some of those kind of decisions, and if those decisions hadn't gone against us, we would be in 5th place apparently.
5th place, 9 points better off.
It's crazy.
The best differential between plus or minus.
The only caveat, we will probably still have Unai Emery as a manager, though, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. For me, I remember way back in the early part of the season, and I was kind of laughing, and you know, karma, it can be a bitch sometimes. I was laughing at the City Tottenham game where City got that late equalizer and Tottenham were screwed for 3 points at the Etihad early in the season. Ha 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 ha! I laughed. That evil, dastardly laugh.
Yeah.
But karma's biting us right now.
Yeah. I mean that's just the way it goes, right? I mean, we seem to be a very unlucky team. We never get, you know, chances always seem to go against us. We never get the big shouts against the big teams when in certain decisions. It's just the way it goes.
I was thinking about that, Stan. Are we just moaning or are we unlucky? Or do we like to have a moan?
I mean, you look at that last match when Nicolas Pepe took that shot and then the ball hit the inside of the post and rebounded out. You know, if that was Liverpool, it would have hit the inside of the post and rebounded in.
Perfectly,
you know?
Or
get that
rebound back off the back of the goalkeeper and go in.
Something like that, yeah.
Not only that, Stan, we were tantalized by Pepe on the left-hand side, which Hopes brought up in the last podcast. He takes a great shot. The goalkeeper not only makes a great save onto the post, but the ball comes to Lacazette. We're thinking he's going to bury it.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to really depend on Lacazette now for the next few games because our top goal scorer is suspended. He's going to miss the next 3 games. He probably wouldn't have played in the Bournemouth game anyway, the cup game. But we are going to be dependent on Lacazette. And I was thinking about Alexander Lacazette because I've seen a lot of people on social media seem to be quite divided. A lot of people saying that, you know, probably cut our losses with him. And a lot of people seem to be hoping that we are going to get Thomas Lemar in some kind of a deal. A lot of people say that, you know, that's madness. We should be holding on to Lacazette. I like Alexander Lacazette. He seems to be the sort of player that wears his heart on his sleeve. You seem to know when he's happy, and you can tell when he's not happy. There's no in between, you know. But what I really do like about him is that he creates a lot of goals for himself. He's able to get himself into really tight situations, wriggle out of it with close control. And some of the goals that he does score at really tight angles, and he's very good at creating these goals for himself. The only thing is that he hasn't so far scored more than 14 goals in a season for us. So
yeah, we really thought he would kick on this season. Last season, he was Player of the Year, Stan.
Yeah, and he gets a lot of minutes. I mean, he's played a lot of games as well. I think it's 14 goals, and it's last season he got 13, I think.
Do you think that he's maybe he's suffering a little bit? Obviously, he's suffering in confidence, but he's not playing as close to the goal as he maybe needs to. He's more playing on the D or the edge of the box right now than being right in there by the penalty spot.
But he seems to do a lot of good work in that area. You know, he's in there and he's hustling. He really seems to be hustling and holding the ball up, creating chances. And if he does get himself into the right positions, he can get a shot away, as I just mentioned, from very tight angles. So, I mean,
is he suffering from a lack of supply a little bit? You know, our wingers are younger, untried. We did get rid of Mkhitaryan and Iwobi, so we're losing something there on the wings that maybe a lot of fans won't see.
Well, there's a lot of players coming into this team now that are getting more minutes than they usually would have had, and Lacazette's had a lot of different players around him. You know, we've been chopping and changing a little bit on the wings, and I just think that this is maybe some of the pain barrier that we have to go through a little bit for Mikel Arteta to really build the team in his image, you know, and the style that he wants to play. It's interesting that Man City sort of tend to play in a 4-3-3 formation, but Mikel Arteta doesn't seem to be, you know, deploying our players in that way. From what I've seen on a starting lineup, seems to be more of a 4-2-3-1. 3-1.
Yeah.
And then when we defend, sorry, go on.
I think that may be down to the players that we actually have, Stan. And we don't have the players that can play three in the middle, like a Liverpool or a Manchester City.
And I like that. I'm glad that Mikel Arteta is not trying to force the issue with players that maybe aren't adequate enough to carry out the roles that they need to in certain positions. So it's good to see that he's got that flexibility, that he's not come in and he's just trying to, you know, directly, you know, put the blueprint down of Man City if we don't have the players that are able to do the job.
Yeah. Do you think Lacazette in particular, and maybe obviously Aubameyang, are suffering now because of the intensity Arteta is asking them to play at? You know, they're fouling. Maybe we need to make those cynical fouls. I've noticed their fouling going up a little bit, which is a good thing.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, one of the things that I've noticed in between, you know, going from Unai Emery to Mikel Arteta are the fitness levels of the players. And, you know, you have to kind of ask yourself what the training regime was like under Unai Emery. I mean, we never got to see very much of it, but there really does seem to be, especially in the first couple of games, I think, especially the Chelsea game. I mean, by the end of that Chelsea game, most of our players were absolutely knackered, weren't they?
Scattered. Yeah.
Some of them had cramps and that. So again, once their bodies get used to this new training regime, it's just going to get better and better. And I have seen already on that front, you know, since the Chelsea game, the players looking a little bit stronger and not sort of looking sort of like, you know, breathing out their asses around sort of like 50, 60 minutes.
Yeah. So we're setting the stage here, Stan, for quite a difficult game. We're talking about the positives here from Sheffield United. Playing away from home, they're a decent outfit. They're a well-drilled outfit. They're defensively strong. They can nick a goal as well when needed away from home. And now we're going to talk about Arsenal and our strengths. Well, we've won our last two games at the Emirates. Do you see something of home comforts coming back for us a little bit?
It's a difficult one because we've still got some really key players out of this team. You know, we're fielding a back four with
important ones.
You know, we're going to have to probably bring Saka back in again at left back. And you would probably think that with Aubameyang being out, that, Lacazette keep his place up front, and Martinelli will probably come in on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
There's going to have to be a lot of discipline on that left-hand side with, Saka and Martinelli, two very young players working together. From what I gather, that's Martin. Even though Martinelli can play across the whole of the front three, he's played a lot of his games on the left-hand side. So hopefully he's aware that he has to track back and cover his left back as well. And I'm sure it's going to be pointed out to him that he has to take extra care because the guy behind him is not an established left back. So, Saka's going to need a little bit of help as well.
Yeah, albeit that Saka has played well and acquitted himself well at left back. He does need that protection. And Arteta is going to demand that from Martinelli. Of course, people maybe forget Martinelli already scored an English Premier League game, Premier League goal at West Ham. But now he's going to have a really good chance here, a couple of games probably, with Aubameyang. Unfortunately, we weren't able to appeal or win the appeal for Aubameyang's red card, which, while it was dangerous and nobody can argue with that, it was still a red card.
Yeah. I mean, if I think like that had gone into one of our players, we would have wanted a red card as well. So,
yeah, and like I said before, we all know how that feels with Abu Dhabi getting hurt up in Sunderland and Eduardo at Birmingham.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a malicious tackle, but these things happen. A mistimed tackle is all it takes, And unfortunately, that's what it was. I mean, you could see on Aubameyang's face, that he was kind of a little bit heartbroken that he was going to have to come off. So these things happen, right?
Yeah, first time ever that he's been sent off in his career, and he did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, classy as well that he did tweet out to the player. I think it was Mayer.
Yeah.
That did get hurt. So, but maybe we'll take the positives out of it, Stan. Our top goal scorer on 14, number 14 on 14 goals will get a rest for a few games.
Yeah, it's going to be all down to it's going to be on Lacazette, but we really do need goals to come from other parts of this team. We've been very reliant on Aubameyang, who probably was keeping Unai Emery in a job a lot longer than he probably would have been if he wasn't in the team. So I know that we're expecting a lot now from Lacazette, but we should be expecting more from some of our other outfield players as well in the midfield.
Boots has joined us, so Boots, thanks for dropping in, and hopefully Boots, you can join us on Sunday as well. Martinelli has the work rate and tracks back quite often. I think he should definitely be in because of that ability to track back and put in a shift, and hopefully nick a goal as well, Stan.
Yeah, I mean, I said what Arteta is saying. I mean, I definitely think Martinelli will play because he said, I'm paraphrasing, that to these players that are now going to be coming in to replace some of these injured players, he basically is saying to them, show me why you're here and show me that you're as good as or better than those that you're coming in for. So, yeah. Good.
So Aubameyang's out. He's our top goal scorer on 14 goals. I'm going to go through the other four top goal scorers for us because we know we haven't had too many of them. Believe it or not, Lacazette's on 5, Stan. Pepe's on 3. And then we got the central defenders of David Luiz and Socrates, 2 each. So you can see our goals are not spread very well around the team.
No.
In a word, no.
Yeah.
In a word, we're going to miss Aubameyang.
Yeah, big time. Big time. But yeah, let's really hope that there's quite a few players in that team that really could do with a goal. I mean, I'm really glad Nelson got that goal quite recently. And it was a goal that won the game as well. But there's a couple of other players in that team that could do with a goal. We all know Lacazette could do with a goal. But, someone like Guendouzi could do with chipping in with a goal or an assist. Yeah. Mesut Ozil has been a little bit quiet as well on the goal and the assist front. However, I do hear he's doing very well on the pre-assist front. But if we could get a goal or assist out of him, that would be good as well.
Yeah. Pre-assists are there, Stan. They're a real thing.
Don't get me started.
They're the pre-stat.
Yeah. It's like a pre-tackle, right?
Yeah, why not? I'm really hoping you're right. We're framing this, and I think it will be a very, very difficult game. I don't expect to see too many goals Saturday, right?
No, I mean, then again, though, I think Sheffield United, they will come to play. You know,
Sure.
if you're Sheffield United now, and you're in that team, surely you believe that you've got a chance going anywhere now in this league, right? So they will come to play. I mean, they've got nothing to lose, right?
No, they've got nothing to lose. They've got 32 points. 17 of those have been at home and 15 away from home.
Yeah,
they're doing quite well, equally away from home as at home. So Boots said, how many does Martinelli have by any chance? So Martinelli has, he's probably got about 6 or 7 goals, Stan, right?
Yeah, I think it was something like 7 goals in 8 appearances up until the other week. But, I mean, a few of those came in the Europa League, right?
Yeah, so I think he scored maybe 4 at least in the Europa League and a couple in the League Cup.
Yeah.
Maybe even 3. I think he scored against Nottingham Forest, if I'm not mistaken, but he definitely got 2 goals up at Liverpool.
That's right, yeah.
I was talking to some Liverpool guys as well. They're like, Martinelli looks like a good player. They saw him up close in that 5-5 game that we unfortunately lost. Only Arsenal could score 5 goals up at Anfield. Not get a win, Stan.
Yeah.
Hey, we're still smiling though, right?
Yeah. I'd like to see I'd like to see Martinelli get maybe the number 7 next season as well.
Yeah.
Number 7 available for Mkhitaryan.
Is the number 7 shirt available?
Well, it's Mkhitaryan's, but he's on loan. So, I mean, you go on loan, I think the number kind of becomes available again. Or is it kind of like kept to the side for the player to come back to? I don't know.
That's an iconic shirt. Just talking about 7s. What does 7s bring to mind for you? For me, it's
Liam Brady.
Rocastle.
For me, Liam Brady. I mean, that's
Liam Brady.
That's
I know you're Liam Brady, a good Irishman, good player. But some good players down through the years wearing the number 7. Go ahead.
And Thomas as well.
Thomas Rosicky, yeah. And we're missing players like that, Stan, that can move the ball quickly through midfield.
Yeah, that's another area where we're. I honestly think that if I had a crystal ball and you looked into it for the next couple in maybe a season and a half time, I really believe that our midfield is going to look really different. Yeah,
I mean, there's players out there that can move the ball quicker through midfield. We just have to go get them.
Yeah.
And look, let's not start panicking yet. We got 2 weeks yet to go in this transfer window. You're kind of smiling. What's your hopes? What's on your wish list? give me positions and players if you want.
I mean, why can't we get 3 players in? We should be able to buy a player, or maybe buy 2 players and bring one on loan.
I agree with you.
The one that I want to see coming the most, but I don't know if it will be if it can be done in January.
You already were saying it, up in Mikado, right?
Be my number 1 pick. I'd swim across the ocean and bring him back. I'd do anything to try and get him in. But I'm not sure that's going to get done now in January. But I mean, we should be working towards doing the deal now for the summer. So it's all put to the side, right? But why can't we bring in someone like a Boateng for 6 months?
Sure. High hopes. Welcome in. We just tripped into the conversation of January. You got 2 weeks to go, pretty much. This fruitful January window.
Evening, lads. Yeah, I heard Stan talking about across the river, across the pond, and I thought I'd sign on. That was my cue.
Yeah, I don't know what I was trying to get to there. Basically, I would, sail across the ocean or driving from the airport, whatever it takes to get that guy in. He's the one that I really would like to see come in. He's got a good age about him, the right age, the right stature. He looks to have all of the kind of the attributes, that we would be looking for. But I don't know if that's going to happen in this window now.
And I'm going to say I agree with you, Stan. I would want that player as well. Hopes might counter or something. I don't know what he's going to do.
Which player? I missed most of that. I've literally just came up.
Upamecano.
Upamecano. Yeah, you see, it's like Upamecano. What do I think? They're all bloody great, aren't they? And then they come to Arsenal, right? And then you get Pepe.
Well, they have that dip, and then we coach him up a little bit, and they're okay again.
The guy who's frigging well, assist king, scoring left, right, and centre, and then he comes to Arsenal and he can't even bloody well defend. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. We do need defender, whether it's Upamecano. I mean, I just, we could say Madonna, and half the Arsenal fan base, yeah, get Madonna. Like, she's great. Like, not saying you're doing that, Stan. No, I'm not. You're far more intelligent than that. But I'm just saying, whoever it is, we need someone. You're talking about Upamecano. I'd take bloody Dunk from Brighton. Just to come in and shore things up at the back.
We're not so great that we can afford to be snobs, Stan.
Oh no, but I mean, get back to the original question: how many do I think we're going to get? We're going to get in. I think we could have at least 3. Two purchases and a loan, or maybe 1 big purchase and 2 loans. With options to buy or something like that. And whoever we buy, we're going to pay it off at a £5 a week anyway, right? So it's no big deal, right?
Milk tops.
Yeah. Hopes, I don't know if you were listening on the earlier part. Sheffield, I'll just give you broad strokes. Sheffield United, a good team away from home. They've played 11, only lost 2, and those 2 games were recently versus Manchester City and Liverpool. They've gotten 3 wins and 6 draws in the other games, unbeaten up until those 2 teams. And James Rowe informed me unbeaten all the way through the championship away from home last year as well. It's foreboding, right?
Absolutely. I mean, a question to both of you. In the away table, just the away games played to date in the Premier League, this season, of course, where do you think Sheffield United sit?
Well, I would say quite high. 6th.
Stan?
Yeah, I'd say probably about 5th.
Because they have almost the same amount of points as they do at home. They're a very well balanced team.
Yeah, absolutely. So they sit around 6. The people above them who have got better form than them, Chelsea, Leicester, Man City, and Liverpool. They've won 15 points away from home. I mean, we can learn something about them. They score most of their goals. Here's a fact for you that I dug out. They score most of their goals between the 76th and 90th minute away from home. So if we're 2-0 up, right, don't get too happy. Like,
we're 1-0 up.
Yeah. What do I think? In all honesty, I'm absolutely just cacking it. I'm really, really concerned. I hate to say this, but I think they all the stats are showing they can do a number of. They can turn us over.
Yeah.
They play as a team. They're the way that they're well drilled. When they came up from the Championship, you just said they were unbeaten, but I don't know if any of you know they brought about 9 or 10 of their first team players with them. They didn't do a Fulham and have a complete haul out and clear out and bring in like 100 million worth of players. One
of their players, George Baldock, came from the First Division.
Yeah, I mean they're forwards. Okay, they've scored 5 goals, 3 assists. That Musik guy, their defender has scored more goals than our defenders. Fleck with 4 goals. So They attack as a team, they defend as a team. Do we have the mental? We Arsenal, do we have the mental, stamina to see it out? Will they just like shut up shop and hit us on the counter? I don't think so. I think they'll come and play, but they'll know when to play. Like we played against Leeds.
Yeah.
I think that's what they'll try and do.
Stan, you were kind of saying the same thing. How do you see the game going? Let's see your crystal ball, foresee everything for us.
That's quite worrying, though. I mean, that stats that Hope's just said there, if that's when they're scoring their goals around, the 75th minute onwards.
Yeah.
That's when, and Boots said it, you put it up there. Boots, exactly the same thing. I was thinking exactly the same thing. That's when we struggle.
Yeah.
If it's not because of the fitness levels, and we've given everything to the game already, and players are running around breathing out their asses, or if it's not that, then we mentally switch off. Players at the back tend to go to sleep. So that's quite worrying. And now that I've heard that stat, if that's, if they're going to play to type, then we're stuffed, don't we? We've really got to keep our concentration for the full game.
Yeah, we got to put ourselves in the Liverpool and Manchester City bracket for them, and if we're going to win the game.
Yeah, I don't mean to be Mr. Negative, but I think the biggest positive for me in this game is the fact that we got Mikel Arteta, and he's had the most amount of time since he's come back to the club. The 5 days he's had now. That's the most I believe he's had without any games or any interruptions. Thank God we beat Leeds first time round, and therefore I think we had a break. Yeah, I think he do his own work. And very much so, and he would have seen that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he makes some defensive midfield substitutions round about the 70th minute to shore up our midfield or defence. I mean, also one thing, I don't know if you guys touched on it before because I wasn't listening prior to coming in, but they've already beaten us. So mentally,
oh yeah, we talked about October.
Yeah, so mentally, even though they're coming away from home, they've got really good away from home form. But they've got that, that ace up the sleeve, thinking we've already beat these. Yeah. So if we beat them, they're going to do it. If we get 1 or 2, or if we just rough them up a bit, Championship football style, are they going to fight back? And let's be honest, Torreira's 50-50. Kolasinac is maybe not. So our defence could be, 2 players under the age of 20 in our defence, right back, left back.
Yeah.
Right.
But 2 players that have acquitted themselves quite well so far.
Facts.
Let's big up them a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Not playing down their performance since Arteta's come. However, when it comes to like the experience fouls or like the tactical fouls,
I know where you're getting that. This is not a championship team, but they play like a championship team. They've got grit, determination. They ran Liverpool at home very, very hard as well. Okay, they lost at Anfield, went to form and all that. But Stan, for me, back in the day when Arsenal got turned over away from home, those players, Lee Dixon, Winterburn, Adams, they were checking the calendar for the return fixture when they got that lot back in Highbury.
I mean, you'd like to
we have the same thing about us in our squad.
I hope so. I hope that's something that Mikel Arteta has brought in, and I hope he's, reminded them of what happened in October, and that we'd like to put that right.
Yeah.
But my prediction, I'm going to go with a draw.
Yeah.
I think we could get a draw out of this game.
It's the most likely, and if you're doing pools right now, Arsenal is some team you would put in your pools for the draw.
It's a shame, isn't it? Because in my fantasy land, in my head, if we beat them, we're 1 point behind them. Liverpool have got Man United, right? And that means we would, I think would be equal with Man United on points, or would go above them. But it would be a massive statement. It's madness. Here I am sat talking about being Sheffield United being a massive statement, but you know what I mean. Like in our
I mean we had that opportunity last week as well. We were talking about where we'd be when we beat Crystal Palace, and we were very close to doing that.
Yeah, that's why I'm sort of like inclined to go with Stan, and I don't want to say a D, but another dreaded. Sorry, forgive my French. Fucking D. You know, it's just like how many more D's we gonna get? Like, you know.
But cast your mind back to the start of the season. Chelsea go up to Old Trafford and get walloped, but they didn't get walloped 4-0. I mean, the scoreline was 4-0, but they didn't deserve to lose 4-0. On the other hand, Manchester United had one of those days. Are we going to have one of those days ever, where everything goes our way?
I was just thinking that. Me and my pal Mike over here, we always say, you know, we're due a game where we're going to win 3 or 4-0. We've not had that yet. I don't know if it's going to. I don't know if it's going to be. I don't think it will be this Saturday though, because we do have a bit a makeshift defence. We've got 2 youngsters playing on the left-hand side of the team, but we are due that. We're due a 3-4-0. You know.
Yeah, I'm looking for that lucky result where Manchester United luckily beat Chelsea 4-0 at home because they got a goal. Chelsea heads went down, and then perfect timing they got another goal, and Chelsea just collapsed a little bit.
Yeah, but
they doesn't see that.
they got well. They don't have players that can't even score in a brothel at the moment, like Lacazette. You know, you know he's struggling out there. Be it home or away. You know, and
maybe Saturday.
And if Torreira's not playing, the likelihood who's going to be supplying the balls? It's going to be Luiz. We're going to have flippity flop Xhaka like running around like a headless chicken. Probably won't put Guendouzi in. Might go with Willer. Maybe put Guendouzi in, but then he's going to be running around like a headless chicken. So the ball. Yeah. I mean, what I'm trying to say is we'll go back to Unai Emery ball in the sense that amid the midfield and go straight. You know, the defense are going to be looking for Martinelli or Pepe. In one sense, I'd probably say this is a game we need to bring Pepe on from the bench. You know, learn from Crystal Palace.
I was gonna disagree with you if you said he was going to start.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we've got to be realistic. Lacazette, as much as he's got it in him and he's great and fantastic, and you know, but he's not scoring. End of. So okay, Martinelli possibly, if he does something by himself. But then again, if Torreira's not playing, because if Torreira's playing, it gets confusing for the opposition. Who do we mark? Who's supplying the ball? Either Luiz or Torreira, right? But if Torreira's not playing, then who's going to provide the balls? Because Xhaka's just going to be like, you know, a scarecrow and like what their head, like a rabbit caught in the headlights. I hope I'm wrong, but because we don't actually have any other like ball playing midfielders. I mean, Xhaka will play the balls once he's got that confidence and a Torreira next to him. Take Torreira away, then who do we have? And Saka, he can't defend. Saka cannot defend, you know, and that's not a criticism. He shouldn't be playing there anyway. But if he's there, then at least go for the ball. You watch if he plays, well, if he does play left back, let's say if let's assume he is, when he runs back into our 18-yard box, he won't tackle. He will track back, and then he'll just stop. A bit like what Xhaka does, and you're just like, okay, what's the point of running all the way back then if you're not going to do anything? So, you know, there's a lot of question marks over our boys, you know. I hope it's the 4-0 win. We're due, but yeah.
It could be one of those VAR days that work for us.
Would you?
Boots, TX. So, Stan, the 5-0 win against Nottingham Forest and 4-0 against Standard Liège. Those were our breakout games this season.
Yeah, but I mean, in the league, we've not seen it. You know,
Aubameyang in the league.
We've not seen a. You know, we've not taken a game by the scruff of its neck in the league.
Yeah, you know? I think that the closest thing to that was probably West Ham away from home in that 10, 11-minute spell, which is magic. You know, we can do that though, Stan. We can turn it on. Yeah, it's going to be tough.
We can turn it on, but can we keep it turned on? But I would like to just say that Mikel Arteta gives me hope. He knows our strengths and weaknesses without saying them. He doesn't have to, you know, put them like broadcast them as such, because he knows. So he'll come up with a plan, whatever that plan is, and that, you know, I think there will be different. You know, it will come out in different times of the game at different zones.
Yeah. Whereas Crystal Palace, we had Zaha as the danger. Arteta will identify the danger and address that, Stan.
As long as the plan doesn't involve working the ball up the pitch, and then just as we get towards the opposition's penalty box, kicking the ball all the way backwards towards our goal, because we do a lot of that, and that's one thing that really annoys me when I see that happening. I don't understand what is the point of working the ball all the way up the pitch to then kick it backwards.
I think it's possession based, and the theory is maybe if we have the ball, they can't hurt us. You know.
Yeah, but I also think that it's a psychological issue, in the sense that, as Stan pointed out, what is the point of getting all the way up there? It's some players like possibly Kolasinac, like Xhaka, even Guendouzi to a certain extent. They will freeze and they'll play the ball back, and I think that's a psychological thing. I would say, yeah, kind of expect it, because it's his fifth game. He's not going to he's not going to switch that off in their brains, you know, because unlike Sheffield United, when we attack, you know, like, you know, the partnership between Ozil and Laka we saw against United, you know, where Ozil, you know, sometimes he runs for it, sometimes he don't run for it, and Laka's like, should I make the run forward? Should I not make the run forward? So it's, you know, hopefully these 5 days they've concentrated on Sheffield United, but then let's not forget on Tuesday we got Chelsea as well. So there's a lot of preparing to do, and we play them away from home. It is a lot of prep without Aubameyang, and then you've got to bring Martinelli up to speed as well. And again, question mark, Pepe or Nelson. We didn't pay all that much money to keep Pepe on the bench, but if he's not doing it for us, then yeah, you know.
And perhaps Pepe has some demons to put away as well.
I was just asking who you guys would go for out of those two.
No, I would go with Nelson initially, but Pepe will come off of the bench, I think.
Yeah, for this game, it's that kind of game where we need Reece and Ainsley to
our game.
Yeah, Reece and Ainsley have got a partnership where Ainsley knows Reece will cover him, but I don't think Ainsley's that confident with Pepe. And Reece will come back and put a tackle in, not like Pepe again, just sort of stand there and think, oh, okay, well, I'll cut the pass off.
I think it's got to be Nelson's stand, because you go back to the FA Cup game, he picked up that goal.
Yeah.
And I think, as Booth said, 2-0 against United was probably our closest to our best performance this season. And I thought Nelson combined really well with Ozil down that right-hand side against United.
Yeah.
So also Ainsley Maitland-Niles, as Hopes has said, you know.
Who'd you go for,
Stan? I prefer Pepe. For me, Nelson holds onto the ball sometimes just for too long, or he does a lot of the hard stuff by bringing the ball up the field, and then he'll hold on to it too long, or he'll run off and leave the ball behind him, which I've seen him do a few times. So it's a difficult one.
It's all about his decision, Stan. I mean, we saw what he could do. What he could do against United was crystal clear. Pepe playing very, very well. And then against Crystal Palace, he had that opportunity after 16 minutes to square the ball to Lacazette, tried to take on a player. And I think his decision making is a little bit Walcott-esque right now.
Yeah, very if you're Nicolas Pepe and you're sat on the bench, and you know you've come with this big wage and big transfer, you're sat on the bench and you're seeing Reece Nelson playing ahead of you. When your number comes up and it's time for you to come on, you should be chomping at the bit, right, to come on and to show everybody why you should be starting the next game. So I'm hoping we get a little bit of that.
Of course.
I mean, when he has come on off the bench for Reece, I think he's tried to provide it. And he has, so much so that the Arsenal fan base said, "Oh, why didn't they start him?" Because he made a change when he came on. He gave us more of an attacking threat. But like you said, he gets so far up the pitch, and then his mind goes blank.
Boot says maybe Pepe could be our super sub, the sixth man to put it.
When he comes off the bench, sometimes with Pepe, every time he gets the ball, he just wants to always really show us what he can do, and really sometimes it's a little bit erratic, and it's almost like he's trying to show us his whole repertoire in the 10 or 15 minutes that he's going to be playing for. So sometimes I think maybe if we see him start a game, let's see how this guy, how he manages his own game and how he is over 80 minutes, 75, 80 minutes from the start.
Yeah, I can't agree enough. I've seen that at the Emirates this season, Stan, and it's so many times he's had the easy pass on, but he's just tried to take on the whole bloody team.
Yeah.
Or he's, when we played against Leeds United and Rob Holding was trying to get him to get in, Pepe to get into space, but he went behind the Leeds midfielder. So it was like, well, we're not going to play the ball through the Leeds midfielder, are you? Like, come on, run into space. And watch him tomorrow. He very rarely runs into space to become an option.
Yeah.
I do think, in one way, I saw this against him, like Crystal Palace as well. I think he's trying too hard. And because of that price tag, almost like that price tag is a curse. And I even the relationship between Oba and Laka and him is, from the right coming inwards, is still not that formed or developed,
Not fluid.
And let's not forget, he's had many 80 minutes under Unai Emery, and he kind of had a free reign there. At the moment, he's how many times have I heard, "Oh, Pepe's arrived," but then he disappears again the very next game. Do you know what I mean? It's like, now you see me, now you don't.
Like, is that like a disease that comes into our social media? The new Vieira, the new Perez, the new Bergkamp. Somebody's arrived. Can't they just be here and do what they're doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But what's got to be the new this or the new that?
Yeah. Okay, I have a question for both of you. Given last week's performance, who do you think Arteta needed to work most with on the training ground in the intervening days? I've got someone in my mind. I just want to see.
I have two. For me, Granit Xhaka still needs, to be a little bit more coaching, a little bit more work, and also Guendouzi as well.
Guendouzi.
I mean, when he played for the team, where did we get him from? Was it Lorient? Was it Lorient? Yes. From 50 senior appearances for Lorient, no goals, no assists. He's had sort of like 51 now, 52 appearances.
About the same, yeah.
No goals, no assists. I mean, that's over 100 games. So we need, it's not like he just come into Arsenal from nowhere. He had another 50 games for Lorient. So I want to see a little bit more from him. And I like the way that he's not being asked to play every minute of every game like he was under Unai Emery, that he's having a chance to watch the game a little bit from the side and to learn his trade. But I want to see those two players for me. I mean, it's just the hub of our midfield, right? Really, two guys.
Stan, have we asked too much of Guendouzi in the last 18 months?
Yeah, well, too much for me. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I like what I see from him, but I always thought under Unai Emery that a lot of his games were played in halves. He'd either have a really good first half and then a stinker of a second half, but never be taken off. More experienced players would be coming off instead of him, which I never understood. Or he'd have quite an average first half, and then you come out second half and have a good one. Yeah. So he's a young kid that's learning. He's a little bit fouly, isn't he? A little bit roll. He likes to sort of roll around.
He likes to get caught up in the psychology of the game.
Yeah,
you got pros who are going to put it to him and maybe give him some back chat. That's a big part of the game. We don't always see it on the television or in the stands. They're jawing at each other, and he's got a fiery disposition that can get himself sent off a little bit.
But
But yeah, that's the player I would like to see Arteta worked with in the last few days.
I like the way he's been used now. I mean, it's the circumstance now where Torreira's out, so now Guendouzi gets a chance to start a game, and that's how it should be.
Yeah. Boots, how about a section like the midfield? Because when Torreira came off, holy crap, what a big change, and not for the good. LOL. Hopes. I think I can speak for Stan as well. We kind of had trepidation when you saw Guendouzi getting warmed up in the second half to come out against Crystal Palace with that 1-0 lead that we had.
Yeah, it's like Stan said, that why do we go so far forward and then come back? Can you teach them that? Can you teach them not to do that within 5 days? You know, now that Torreira's out, if he is out, you know, I'd like to say in an ideal world, that the players I would like to, to answer your question, to see Mikel Arteta work with most are most probably Ozil and Pepe. I'd like to say that. Why? Because if they're on their A game, Jesus Christ, we'll just be a force to be reckoned with, like attacking. However, current
So you're
day.
saying, Hopes, you're saying they have faults in their game under Arteta's system?
Absolutely. Their instability to be, they're just unstable. They lack consistency in. Ozil, he's got a lot of experience. He's the closest to Xhaka and Guendouzi. How is he helping them within, in real time?
I think we all saw it about 35, 40 minutes. It wasn't the game for him after that time.
Exactly. And you see, in one sense, and Pepe as well, like positional awareness, situational awareness, which you won't have to teach Ozil. However, why do we have to have two? Can we afford these two luxury players in our team? And therefore, they would be my two. But yeah, I know it's not going to happen overnight with those two. So I'd probably put more effort into Xhaka and Guendouzi, because you don't know what's going to go on with Torreira. Even if he comes on or if he starts, is he going to last 90 minutes? And there's always going to be that question mark, because we've got 3 games coming up in quick succession now, and we can't be a one-man team.
And look, you touched on this as well. We have the Chelsea game coming up away from home. Shouldn't you put more eggs in this basket than the Chelsea basket away from home? First game as well.
I would say, knowing that Arteta's come from Man City under Pep Guardiola, he'll want to put his eggs in equal baskets. He'll want to try and maximise, our chances of winning all the games. And I believe he thinks we can do it. But in order to do that, we can't go out and play like a City or Liverpool. It's game management and therefore man management.
Yeah.
And if anyone has got a chance of doing it, he's shown he's got the skills and he's got the ability to do that. Now what happens when like what happened against Crystal Palace, and we leave our left hand side exposed and they just put in a ball, and he's not to blame for that.
We've all seen that footage, right, where you see what's happening with the goal, Stan, and then you got Arteta on the sideline.
Yeah,
the famous Arsene Wenger bottle kick.
Yeah, and we're going to have to wait on that. As I say, we said earlier, we've got a very going to have a very inexperienced left-hand side for this game, right? We've got Xhaka, and in front of him we've got Martinelli. So, if you're Chris Wilder, you might look at maybe focusing on that side for a bit in the first half to see how you get on, right, and see if you're getting joy down there.
Definitely, I think I would. If I was the opposition manager, I would definitely try and target Saka. However, I think probably we can all agree on this. Martinelli's work rate, he'll run. He's like Duracell, that guy. He just he don't stop, He just keeps on going and going and going. He doesn't run out of energy.
He's our wild card.
And the amount of times I've seen him at the Emirates like this season, and he's not shy to come back and defend like Aubameyang does. So if we double up down that left-hand side like we doubled up on the weekend against Zaha, then we have a good chance. However, it then means how quickly can we transition the ball, and it goes back to what Stan was saying about focusing more on Xhaka and Guendouzi.
Yeah, Stan, I think you picked up on a good point by mentioning Chris Wilder, experienced coach who's going to be able to focus on our weaknesses, and we've got him on the left-hand side.
Well, both of our fullbacks, right? I mean, we've got for me, Xhaka and Ainsley Maitland-Niles should not be thought of than anything other than a stopgap at our fullback positions. Yes, they've had some good games there. They've helped us out, and fair play to them. But they shouldn't be thought of as anything other than stopgaps. I see a lot of people saying now, well, do we really need to buy cover for Hector? I've seen some people saying, well, we could probably move Hector on in the summer and buy a backup for Ainsley Maitland-Niles at right back. I mean, we've all got our own opinions. We're all entitled to our own opinions, but for me, they're just backups. That's not their natural positions. I don't want to put in square pegs into round holes. We've always done that, haven't we? We never had enough centre backs, so we'd have to move Monreal in there. Or we wouldn't have another position. We'd have to play Xhaka at a left back, or we'd play Mkhitaryan on the right hand side because Ozil's in his place. And I don't want to see that anymore.
Yeah, but I would say on that point that you see Bellerin and Tierney, especially Bellerin for like nearly two seasons now, just injured. So when do we make that decision to say, right, even our first choice Bellerin, because of his injuries and he's going to need time, as soon as there were pictures of him recovering, everyone, like the fan base, were like, yeah, just play him. Came back and he got another injury, similar to Rob Holding. Now it's a case of, when do we say enough's enough with Bellerin? Okay, Tierney, unlucky. We still got time on that one. But by the time he comes back and is ready for first match fitness, he's got first match fitness again, it's going to be probably the tail end of the season, or it's going to be like the last 3 or 4 games, which means he would have missed an entire season. So in order to not make Saka and Ainsley our go-to, we're going to have to, invest in maybe bringing players ahead of Bellerin and Tierney, and make Tierney and Bellerin fill in for them almost.
I agree.
Because Bellerin, I mean, I don't know if you guys were in, Bellerin's shit to a certain extent. Do you know what I mean? I mean, yeah, okay, I was there.
Pace.
I was there when we beat, when we beat, Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich, and he took the ball at the, in the 90th minute, and he cut out the pass, and but he can't defend. He hasn't come back to show us that he can defend because he's got injured. Tierney can defend, and Tierney can attack.
We have to see what they look like when they come back from injury, Stan.
I'd like to see us get a right back that's not going to be a backup to Hector, but who can be someone that can push Hector for the first starting place at right back. I'd like to see how that would work for a season. And then at the end of that season, if Hector's not up to that battle and can't win that place, then we look at moving him on. Because he does look a little bit, I mean, his biggest weapon was always his pace, wasn't it?
Always.
And he's looked a little bit off of that pace. And as Hope says, he's never been the best, on his defensive side. He's not terrible, but if you're looking at, I always look at players, I like to use the word, rather than bin them, upgrade them. And if you can upgrade on a player, why wouldn't you? And we could definitely do with a fullback, a right back that could tackle. If the
and over the years, we have asked a lot of Bellerin to patrol that right hand side all by himself, pretty much.
But
when we were playing Aaron Ramsey on the right hand side, Hopes.
Yeah, but Stan, then wouldn't you bring a first class right back in so Bellerin could, or they could both challenge for the position, right, rather than a second? Because
no, that's what I'm saying.
Right, okay, yeah.
Not an understudy, someone that can push him for the first place, and then after maybe a season of that, if Hector's not up to the job of winning that battle, then we get a backup for this guy that is. You see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sorry, I misunderstood you, mate. Because I just think that it sounds really harsh and really ruthless, but it's got to be said, like our right back, we've been suffering for nearly 2 seasons now, and we really need to, we need to have a firm, solid back line, just like the Liverpools, just like the Man Cities, right? Man City, okay, bar this season, so their 2 centre backs being injured, but like consistently, who can go on and on for games, and now this whole new style of Mikel Arteta, where he doesn't expect them like Unai Emery to run to the corner flag and back in a nanosecond. And he expects that, he likes them to cut in a bit like Kyle Walker does for Man City. Maybe that will put less pressure on them. But for most of last season, it was a case of, when Bellerin's back, because we had Lichtsteiner and all of that. And then when he came back, it wasn't all that, and then Tierney, and it was like, wait till Tierney starts. It's like, why can't we just have why can't we just
wait till we get our fullbacks back?
Yeah, why can't we just right? Okay,
Emery ball will be so much better.
And Rob Holding.
Yeah, absolutely. Why can't we just see, it's not working and it needs to change, and KFC need to put some money in their hands in their pockets, not money. They've got enough money in their pockets as it is.
Rising 101 has joined us. Thanks, Rising 101. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. We need to replace Ozil, to be fair, with a younger pressing 8 or a 10 who actually shoots. We all agree with that, but we all probably agree that there's other parts of the field that are more desperately needing help.
No, I've got a question for Rising 101.
Survived another year.
I've got a question for Rising 101. Is the 8 or 10? Is the number 8 or number 10 role still prominent in English football?
Not the 10, but the 8, yes.
Yeah. Again, a player that I'd like to see coming into the midfield, going back to your question about buying and if we had a shopping list, I like Donny van der Beek from Ajax, and I've seen a lot of their games. Like seen a lot of the Ajax games, and I really he's industrious, and he really gets about the pitch, puts the ball back and score, sets up. I'd love to see him come in.
All right, let's do shopping lists and 3 specific players you want to bring in. Let's do that, Stan.
Mine's very quick.
I hope Tate's talking about this stuff right now, I think.
my wish list would be Upamecano and maybe another loan player, maybe someone like a Boateng on loan, right? Because we've got Saliba coming in. So I leave that open. Another defender. So 2 defenders and Donny van der Beek if I was to choose a midfielder. So 2 defenders and a midfielder.
Hopes, will I give you the last word or you want to go next? He likes the last word, I think.
Not with you about Ray. You're the host. 3 players I'd like to bring in January.
No, whoever you think we need. If you're the powers, you're the main man in Arsenal right now.
I would definitely say 2 centre backs, and I would say I would rather go like Stan spoke about Van Beek from Ajax. I'd say Ziyech. I'd like him to come in because he's attack minded, and the two centre backs. Or no, actually,
we're gonna have Saliba.
I would say 1 centre back and a replacement for Torreira. So what's his face? Decore. I take Decore.
Stole my player.
See, you're gonna have to think now.
They're all in here. I don't have to think. I ask the question. Do you think I don't have answers when I ask questions?
The clue's in the question. You asked. I got one more.
Better think of something quick, Ray.
I've got one more. Right. Centre back wise, I'm not sure who I'd go for. I'm just too paranoid about these Upamencanos, Koulibalys,
Just let it flow. Don't be paranoid. Just let it flow. Lose your inhibitions.
Trying to think.
You got Dunk, don't you?
Well, flip it back to me then. You can think for a few more minutes.
All right, easy, Tiger. I'll flip it back to you, God.
Hey, listen, I'd go with Upamecano along with Stan. I'd go with Decore in midfield because I think we need a body like that that's going to help Torreira. I don't agree that Torreira is too slight or not physical enough. I just believe that he needs help in midfield. He seems to be always babysitting somebody, whether it be Xhaka or Guendouzi, mopping up clean. Sorry?
He gets bashed around quite a lot as well, doesn't he?
He does get bashed around, but I think he's really good at nipping in and stealing the ball. And I think Decore could be the person to help him there. I'd love to see him in there. Now I'd go for a right back, Max Aarons from Norwich as well. Whether it be backup, whether Bellerin's going to be backup, that's down to Arteta, right? All right, back to you, Hopes.
Don't shoot me for this one, but would you guys take Vertonghen?
Vertonghen, no way.
I would.
Why wouldn't you take him, Ray? Come on.
Listen, he's a little bit past it. He's not good enough. If he can't get into the Spurs team, then he's not good enough for us.
He gets into the Spurs team every week.
He was on the bench at the weekend. Go back and check it out. He came on.
But isn't it because he won't re-sign a contract? Isn't it something like that? He's got a contract dispute. He won't re-sign, or he's taking his time, so they're using him a bit sparingly, right?
25 million or something. That was that last season, right?
Yeah.
Probably 18 now.
You see, I think he's got the attributes for a commanding centre back, even more so than David Luiz. And he's played in a team of not so, let's say, like stars around him. So he's got the ability to reset that defense and give David Luiz a bit more freedom to be, to roam forward more. And he's more happy than just to stay back and that's that. And he's great from the corners as well. So that's my third one.
And we all know, Hopes, that happy David Luiz is a productive David Luiz, where he can sleep 4 hours and still be the best defender in the world.
I don't give David Luiz the armband for the game. I'd give him a captaincy for this game because Aubameyang's out, right?
Yeah,
he's been playing like he's a new player. He's a new player.
I know what you're saying. But I'm not buying into it just yet. He's got a stinker coming up.
I like the attitude, right? I like that huddle they do. If you watch when they do that huddle now at the beginning of the game, the person that's doing all the talking in the huddle is David Luiz, and everyone's just listening to him. He's the team's captain, really, for me already.
It's almost like Mikel Arteta said in his press conference that I want the experienced players to bring out the best in the team around them, and I want it to show on the pitch. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, for all our corners, David Luiz goes up and he goes to the near post.
Near post, yeah.
We've got that training routine, like that drill down to a T. And against Crystal Palace, he nearly scored.
Yeah, I love to see a near post header, Stan.
Yeah, we used to see that a lot, didn't we? Bold or Keown flicking it on for Adams or something like that.
Now it's freaking David Luiz and Socrates. Our standards have dropped. Hey, Boots, I don't know what that emoji means.
Exactly.
I think you two can tell me. I don't know. But we do hope to speak to you on Sunday, Boots. You may come on the podcast with us, and if anyone's watching this on playback.
It's Boots from Texas there. He's got TX. Is he from
I would think it's Texas, yes. TX. And he's not asleep right now. Hopes, why are you awake still?
Hopes doesn't sleep, man.
I was waiting,
and we love it. It's great.
I was waiting to join the Gooners from across the pond.
He's my go-to every middle of the week.
Ditto. The feeling's mutual.
Hi, Tony. Thanks for joining us, Tony Turner. Hi, fellas. Hey, Tony. Hi, Tony. Tony, Rising 101. Anyone that's in there, let us know how you're feeling about the game on Saturday. Worried, excited. Should we be worried about Sheffield United? Should we be excited? Per Josh, be excited, folks. Boots, old man, LOL. I'm from Texas, but live in Colorado at the moment. Okay, quite close to the Cronkies, so we could send you on a mission.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that this game against Sheffield United? We're gonna lose it in midfield.
Tony wants us to toss a coin right now. So, are we going to lose it? I don't think we're going to lose it in midfield.
Really?
Do you think we'll lose it with our defenders?
Because they love to play. They love to play along. Like they're not long ball. They pass the ball a lot. They play as a team, and I think if they can penetrate, get in behind Xhaka and whoever his number 2 is going to be, or Torreira and whoever. If Torreira plays, no, we will not lose that battle. I'm confident. But if he does not play, then I think they will try and isolate and take out the game. Let's say Guendouzi and Xhaka, and then it will be found wanting. Especially if Pepe plays, because he's not okay. He'll run back, but he won't put in a challenge. Martinelli will be like a headless chicken. That will isolate Lacazette up front on the transition. So I think, and then it will just, it will mean David Luiz can't play his midfield and defense splitting passes up to Ozil. So Ozil will be out as well. So I think that triangle of Ozil, Xhaka, and whoever else, like let's say Guendouzi, that's why I think we'll lose the game in midfield.
Like the Bermuda Triangle, Stan. Ozil, Xhaka, and Guendouzi.
Yeah. Well, even
not inspiring for me.
You can lose an ocean liner in that triangle.
I was gonna. It's easier to get lost in the Bermuda Triangle, lads. Than that triangle.
Those three will create wide open triangle. A helicopter could land in there.
I just get worried that sometimes we play very, very deep, and it's almost like sometimes it looks like our centre back pairing is David Luiz and Bernd Leno. We play so deep.
That's what Tony's saying here.
And then we invite the other team onto us, and what do? We start trying to kick it out and work it back from the back when we're pressed in really deep. And I just get worried when we do that, because there's so many times one of the players will spill the ball or try and be cute and kick it back towards Leno when one of their players is screaming towards him. And that's what I get worried about the most. That and what I said earlier about working the ball up the pitch and then kicking it back. And I think that those two things that we do, that wreck our game, is a bit of a hangover still from Unai Emery. These are things that came into the team, I think, with Unai Emery, playing that deep at times and trying to work it out that deep, and then working the ball up the pitch and then kicking it back. And it's going to, like Hope said, it's going to take a bit of time for Mikel Arteta to erase that and delete that from their memory banks. But it's going to come. It's going to come.
Yes, Dan. Hopes and I call that PTSD, Arsenal PTSD, stress disorder.
Yeah, I definitely
from the Emery era.
I definitely agree with you, Stan. And yeah, like Ray said, we've discussed that in the sense that as soon as they get tired, these players go back to Emery ball, and we're found wanting. And there's no way, I don't think, we can match Sheffield United. I never thought I'd hear me saying this in my entire lifetime, but a team and no disrespect to Sheffield United, we have to give them some respect, not maximum respect, but we have to give them some respect, because quite frankly and quite honestly, factually, statistically, they are a better team than us at this precise moment, and they know how to play as a team, and we do not.
There's a handful of teams that have gone past us now, Stan, in the table. Crystal Palace last week, you could say they're a better outfit than we are. All of the teams above us, hopefully it's not the case by the end of the season. Stan?
Yeah, but we got really undone in that Crystal Palace game, yeah? I mean, we went down to 10 men. And, for a team that's kind of like rebuilding and getting confidence, it kind of really messed up that game plan.
Yeah.
And we walked away with a point. I don't know if we would have walked away with a point under Unai Emery in that game if we'd gone down to 10 men. If we'd gone down to 10 men, it would have been like playing with 8 men.
Yeah, because
under Unai Emery.
We actually did push and try to get that goal with
We
Pepe.
did. Came close as well. So
Yeah.
you can't complain at a draw like that in those circumstances. And if we can see that kind of effort that we saw, like the effort that we've seen under the last few games under Mikel Arteta, we should be able to get a draw out of this at home. If we can get a draw, it's not the best thing in the world, but it's something to build on, right? And getting another loss at home. At home, we're supposed to have a fortress. We're supposed to be good at home, and we're supposed to be working on how we travel. Yeah, and we kind of slipped up a little bit at home, so we need to get that back.
Well, you two are going to look like mugs when we went 4-0, and I said, I told you so.
Wait, is that your prediction, is it?
I'd love it.
No, it is right now. As of 1/12/23, it's my prediction.
You're gonna put money on that, are you?
Yeah.
Hey, on Saturday, if it works out, if it all works out, I'll be golden.
Yeah, I cannot disagree with you, Stan, in that so much so
What
that
about me?
Well, 4-0. What's the odds? That it is a psychological thing, and it's going to take time for Mikel to train that out of them. And I think it's the hard school of knocks, isn't it? The more they realise that we cannot afford to go back to this, and it's something they have to change in real time. They can do it on the training pitch, all day long, but it's in real time. That's where they'll get their confidence. It's like that quote Arteta came out with. He said the best medicine for Lacazette, when asked by a reporter, is to put the ball in the back of the net, and he doesn't worry about his effort. Because his effort has been great. All right, his performance as a striker in terms of scoring goals has not been, but the fact that as long as he keeps putting that amount of effort, the result will come, and maybe Ray will win his bet.
I'm telling you, you're gonna look like mugs. I'm gonna call you out, Hope. So I'm gonna call. Well, maybe not Stan. I think he's a little bit with me on this one, right, Stan?
I'm gonna record this, and I'm just gonna keep on playing it to you. When we do the post match, the post match analysis. 4-0. You're gonna look like mugs.
Martinelli hat trick.
Oh, now you want to know the goal scorers as well. Okay. Martinelli gets a brace, Lacazette gets 1, and Guendouzi scores the 4th.
I want what you're on, Ray.
No, I'm not taking drugs.
Yeah, it'll be great if we won, because it changes everything. Going into that Chelsea game, it puts the pressure on Chelsea in a way, because it's their home ground we're going to as well, and we'll be a couple of points behind them, if I'm not mistaken.
Like we said, Hopes, I think Stan and I said there's got to be a certain measure of revenge psychology to this team. We lost pretty badly at Sheffield United. Result-wise, not terrible, 1-0, but it was a matter of the defeat. And that's what turned me. That was my final game with Unai Emery, I'm sorry to say. I wish I had gone a lot better under Emery. But that was my turning point. I don't know if it was both of yours or not.
Well, cup final.
Cup final?
Yeah.
All right, Hopes, what happens if I'm right?
If you're right.
What are you going to eat?
What happens if
eat
he's
your
right
hat.
On 4-0?
Wow.
Yeah. Put it this way, I'll believe him more often. I won't test him again. For a while.
Hey, I've been pretty good recently in the last year. I predicted Pepe would come in last January. Go back and check it. It's there. Why are you laughing?
So we got you to blame for Pepe. And
It's all me. It's all my fault.
And who are you saying 4-0 for, eh? Because I can see this getting the other way.
4-0 for us.
I did say 4-0, yeah, but not to Sheffield United, you know.
I also predicted Ramsey would go to Juventus as well. So 4-0 is not so far-fetched after all, with Guendouzi scoring as well.
I'll take that bet, Tony. If we score 4 goals, right? If we score 4 goals or more, the Arsenal luchador will make another appearance.
And I'm going to get you on as much as possible, and don't be doing things with the missus. No hiking for you, Stan.
All right, hiking. I thought you meant something else. Okay.
Well, obviously my subscribers would go higher and higher then, wouldn't they? You know.
Well, what happens if we don't win 4-0, Ray? Then what?
For you two to decide. I'll sing. You don't want to hear that.
There you have it, Tony.
I'll sing Mikel Arteta to Santi Cazorla song. Ooh, Mikel Arteta. Hey, we better sign off pretty soon. Dan, we want to see you dressed up that way, all right? Yeah.
4 goals, the luchador will make a reappearance, and I hear that he does have a new mask as well. So, yeah.
Man, it's going to be lit if they do win 4-0.
Yeah, I can't wait. Although I am apprehensive about this game, you know.
Excited.
Also, what it means.
Game, though, I really am.
Sorry, say that again.
I'm just saying, I'm really excited for each game we play now, because I'm always looking for. I can't wait to see the improvement. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a little sense hopes that the league is what it is, so we can enjoy it.
You know what it is? When or how long should I say? And when does that excitement start to fade away for you guys? In the sense that, okay, yeah, I'm with you, Stan, 100%. I'm excited, I'm impressed, but at the end of the day, we're in a results business, right? And when those results don't come in, you can have the most articulate manager, you know, and everything like that. But is it the manager? Is it the players? Or is it the board? For me, at that point, it will be the board. But will the Arsenal fan base go towards the board? Because the players are such an easy target, because they're right before us, you know, whereas the board just keep on hiding. I mean, just take this transfer window. You know, we need players, and Mikel's come out and he said, you know, I'll only bring in the right player. But yeah, okay, he's got a point there. But for how long?
That part of him is a little bit more Wenger than Pep, right? It's right from the Wenger playbook.
The acid test for me is going to be in the summer, and I think Hopes is right. It's going to be on the board, because I was reading today that, you know, Mustafi may not be leaving in January now, and only because it may be difficult to bring in the right kind of replacements. And I understand that. Obviously, I would like to see us bring in better players in January, but I'm willing to give them a little bit of leeway to get things done in January. But the acid test for me is definitely going to come in the summer, to see if this manager is going to be backed, so that the manager is going to have an opportunity to work to his full potential.
But even then, I mean, let's assume that he's not backed. You know, a bit like Unai Emery. I wanted Zaha, and then he gets Pepe. Will a lot of, you know, do you know what I'm trying to say here? That a lot, because the players and the manager are there, then how long until it just takes, you know, the toxic fan base to start saying, oh, well, you know, he didn't ask for players, or, you know, this
February 1st.
Yeah, this whole Wenger Gazidis thing. We've got money. No, we ain't got money. We've got money. No, we ain't got money. You know, I want Mikel Arteta to succeed. He seems like he has all the credentials, but he's only as good as his, you know, the players he puts out. And we've even kept, you know, Nketiah back.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking about a centre back and a centre mid, and you know, maybe there was an attacking player out there who's willing to come to us on loan. You know.
Are you? First, I'll get to Tony Turner. I reserve judgment until we get new faces and blood, but that will be in the summer.
Great.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. What happens if we don't get new faces and new blood?
We riot.
Well, here's my question, Hopes.
We riot like hell.
We're gonna win 4-0 every week now, just because I said so.
You really are on something tonight, aren't you?
Yeah. Here's my question. I've lost my question now. Thanks, Hopes. Tony, yes, my question is, are you heartened by Mavropanos going out on loan and possibly Mustafi? I think that's what Tony's saying. Mustafi possibly going as well. He disliked Mustafi, but unless we bring in 2 centre backs this window, I wouldn't sell him.
Mustard, not Mustafi, Mustard.
Okay, we don't have a Mustard.
No, I'd agree with
I saw Mustafi.
I'd like us to do better than Mustafi, but if we can't bring anyone else in, why are we going to cut our noses off to spite our faces? We might need that extra body, right?
Do you guys think, here's a thought, when I saw that Mavropanos and Mustafi are going out on loan, I thought it was to clear up or get some money in, you know, from saving on their wages to get, for us to get someone on loan.
That was my question.
Oh,
just a minute ago. Are you hardened by Mavropanos going on loan? You got hung up on the Mustard thing. Mustafi. And yes, it's spell check. I get Tony. It's okay. I understand. I adopt a German or a French farmers team to support. Mustafi. He doesn't cut the Mustafi. Okay.
No.
Never seen that autocorrect before. It could have been a lot worse than Mustard, probably.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'd you know, I like the way Mikel Arteta is playing his game. He knows there's going to be an abundance of money. You know, we might not be able to get someone in that's going to be a better upgrade on Xhaka. So what is he supposed to say in his interviews? I can't wait to fucking get rid of him. He fucking drives me mad. He's got to say, he's got to say, yeah, you know, of course there's a place still here for him. Everyone's got because he's not stupid. Because if he's going to get, if he's going to get left with some of these players, he has to get the best out of them until the summer. And this is what I was saying about having a crystal ball earlier. I guarantee you, you look at our midfield, you know, in the next season, not next summer, but probably the January after, and that we can have a different midfield. And Mikel Arteta will be patient. He'll wait until the funds are available, and he'll gradually rotate people out of our team. But until then, he's got to put his arm around people. He's got to make them feel part of the team. He's got to make them feel wanted and loved, because it's the only way that he's going to get the best out of them until the funds are in to move them on.
Yeah.
That, my friend, is a beautiful point.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Seriously, like, yeah, and it's so true. It's work with what you got, right? Because the last thing he wants to do is do what Unai Emery did and, you know, just blacklist players like Ozil, and, you know, they stop playing and then they have an effect. It has a backlash on the wider team, and then, you know, negativity starts to, you know, rear its ugly head. So yeah, why not just give them the confidence boost that they need and work with them? And he knows, I mean, he's come from Man City. Do you know what I mean? For 3 seasons, he's played with like some of the best in, if not the country, the world, you know? So yeah, you know, I think he's keeping his cards very close to his chest, you know?
I mean, it's all very well and good taking 40 million euros off of Hertha Berlin in January for Granit Xhaka, but if there's nobody else lined up to spend that 40 million on and maybe bung a few quid on top, there's no one available.
No. That means Guendouzi's in the team with Torreira, which doesn't work very well.
Yeah, we have to keep hold of Xhaka. We have to make him feel wanted, put an arm around him until the time is right that we can upgrade.
Yeah, 100%. Because, you know, if we take him out, then who's going to be our centre mids? Guendouzi and Willock. No way.
Yeah.
No way.
And Stan, a little sneaky behind you, Stan.
She gets into every podcast I'm on. She always makes an
She's the
appearance.
star. She's the star.
Soon as
Nobody
she
wants to see us
talking into this computer, she always seems to that's when she wants to play. Or right. While I'm doing these podcasts, she's running around the house trying to attract my attention. Constantly. It's quite fun.
We're gonna get done pretty soon in a couple of minutes, so just hang in there. Hey, in Tony's honor, I want to start calling Mustafi codename Mustard. In Tony's honor, on this podcast, Mustafi will be forever known as Mustard from now on.
Colonel Mustard.
Colonel Mustard.
Colonel Mustard.
I like that.
Colonel.
That's old school, that is. That's proper Cluedo, isn't
it? Yeah, proper. Oh.
And Tony, that's in your honor. We're not like making fun or anything like that. Do you think Arteta will want to sell Guendouzi to raise funds, Stan?
He's only just been. Hasn't he just had his contract increased since he's been at the club?
Yeah, last summer.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
Let me ask you a bigger question. Are we risking losing value in the kid? Is his value going down or up?
That depends what games we play him in. Because you can make a B-rated player look like an A-rated player in some European games, and so if we play it smart, then no, and because he's got age on his side, and the fact that Deschamps likes him for the French national squad, so that's added value to his stock. So I guess it's how we use him. I think he must have been Unai Emery's love child to get that extension and extra money last summer, Stan. To answer your question.
Hopes, do you see any more strings to his bow? Can he get in the box more? Can he score a goal here and there?
Definitely, 100%. It's just that. Yeah, 100%. He's young. Young players like him, are probably a manager's dream. He's got a bit like Pepe. He's got the ability. It's just the PTSD, from Unai Emery, most probably, and that's why I think we should at least give him at least another 2 or 3 seasons. Use him like he's being used now, not run him out as it were, so he gets fried out. He's willing to play every game, as he's shown. It's just that he needs to just come up a couple of levels, and hopefully now with Torreira playing where he is, he gets that both defending and attacking side to his midfield, because he's got good experienced players around him. If he learns to attack from Ozil and defend from Torreira, wow. And because he's young, he can, with Mikel Arteta under him, who likes to develop these players, I think he's got a good future.
Yeah, that's what we're going to see Mikel Arteta's worth, I think. Players like Martinelli, Saka, Willock, and Guendouzi. Mikel Arteta's got a good opportunity there to work with some really promising players, because there are some faults in Guendouzi's game, but we've definitely seen flashes that there is definitely talent in there, right? We've all seen it.
Yeah.
It won't be for a full 90 minutes yet, but there's definitely something in there.
Yeah.
Good player in there, I think.
Boots Colonel Mustard in the study with a World Cup trophy.
Well, in all fairness, WC, could mean anything.
In the toilet.
I'm going to say World Cup trophy. Guendouzi's value is 45 million. His contract runs out in 2022. And here's a good point from Tony. Guendouzi started the season off bright. I think all the chaos has unsettled him a little bit. And maybe there's something to that, a younger player.
Yeah, he's probably never seen anything going on like this at a club before. What we were sort of like going through towards the end of Emery's tenure. But a player that I've kind of like dogged for a little while is Kolasinac. But I've definitely seen some real good improvement. Even towards the end of Emery's tenure, I've seen Kolasinac really seems to have upped his games. There's been a few games where he's almost like come dribbling into the box and dribbling around players like he was like Ronaldinho at times. and then cutting the ball back. I mean, if this is a sign of things to come under Mikel Arteta, then slowly but surely, let's just enjoy it as it happens.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. His performance against Man United and Crystal Palace were, second to none. The way he was running forward, I was actually for him. He swayed me because I was against him. Sorry, playing in those games, I thought put Saka in there because he gives us more attacking wise because he can actually cross the ball, unlike Kolasinac. But then he just came out of, he came out all guns blazing. Did Kolasinac? Maybe Saka, pushing him for a place in the team, even though he's at left back, as made him worry a bit.
Yeah, and also having someone like seeing that we went out and spent good money on someone like Kieran Tierney, he knows now that he has to really, if he wants to play in the team, he's got to fight for his place and not sort of like be the automatic selection.
All right, chaps. I think this has been a very good podcast. We've covered a lot of points.
Well, even with you saying we're going to win 4-0.
I feel like, we'll get to that in a minute. I feel like three mates that are in the pub and our missus are looking for us about 30 minutes ago, 45 minutes ago, an hour ago.
The Arsenal fan base are looking for you after that 4-0 prediction. Forget
yes,
your missus. You wish your missus is looking for you.
I'm going to remain bullish. I did state at 1 hour, 12 minutes and some seconds we would win 4-0. 2 goals from Martinelli, 1 from Lacazette, and the midfield Meister will chip in. Guendouzi get the 4th goal. Sticking to my guns. And we're all going to do fantastic things if that comes to pass.
We will.
Stan, thanks for joining me. Really
Thanks for having me.
The Groover, as Andrew over the Hinkley Gunner says, the Groover from Vancouver.
And just to anybody watching, if you want to see our post-match reaction videos that the Gooners in Vancouver do, they're uploaded on Cannon Fodder TV. So go there, subscribe to the channel as well, and check out our post-match videos. Yeah,
go check them out. I've watched a number of those. Stan and Mike and all the guys over there in the pub get together and have some drunken previews, but maybe not drunken because it's very, very well informed.
Yeah, something at 4 in the morning as well.
Yeah,
we have to get down there, man. This game on Saturday for us will be 7 o'clock in the morning kickoff.
Well, hats off, man. Hats off.
Lombard Camp.
We better win 4-0 at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to let you forget it now.
Lombard Camp, love the support. Thanks for coming in. Catch us on Sunday. Lol just turned up. Drop a little like, people. Lombard Camp, I will say this was a really fun podcast. Go back and check out my prediction at 112 and some change. You'll be astounded.
Ray switched,
I'll get like 28 or 40 to 1 on that one. Hopes, thanks for joining us. It's silly o'clock there. The man who doesn't sleep.
Definitely not. No, thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, great to be on with your esteemed guest, Stan, after a long time. And, always a pleasure to hear your predictions and your question. Very grateful for them. And even if they are 4-0,
I want to give a shout out to Colonel Mustard, Tony Turner. Thank you. Our new player, Colonel Mustard. We just signed them in the last few minutes.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Colonel Mustard has joined Arsenal.
Season.
He's a ginger defender.
Yeah.
And he's won a World Cup already.
Yeah. Soon to be by Professor Plum.
In his short career. Want to give out a shout out to a few people. Of course, the boys over at Cannon Fodder TV. And also Tanner from the Bearded Gooner and James Rowe, who I tapped his brain a little bit for Sheffield United stats earlier. Listen, let's start enjoying the games. It's going to be a tough game on Saturday, but let's enjoy it. Let's see what Arteta can do with the boys, and let's see who he has been kicking up the arse the most on the training field hopes. Guendouzi, hopefully.
Tomorrow evening, UK time, 7:00, I'll be on Canon for the TV. We'll be doing their bite-sized show. So come and join us in the chat box, anyone that's listening. That's tomorrow UK time at 7:00.
Check out Stan on Cannon Fodder tomorrow. Bite size. We did it. We took a big chunk out today, Stan. Thanks for joining me once again.
Cheers.
Hopes, thanks once again.
Thank you.
I kind of think I talked too much on the outro, so I'm just going to say, see you later. Up the Arsenal. Come on, you Gooners.
See you later.